So we can start. Yeah, welcome everybody. It will be a little bit less formal today. I hope you have questions, and I hope I have answers. What I will do at first, and maybe I should have done that the first workshop on Friday. I don't know if any of you made the quick start guide? No. Okay, so we'll do it. Okay, just to let you know how it works. So as I said, we have built a quick start guide to facilitate, actually to convince people. That's kind of easy to use. Okay. And when I did it yesterday to prepare the workshop, I just realized that there was a couple of words missing. So they've been replaced and put on the website, everything. So if you download it, it's now the new version. So we talk about the architecture. It is just a reminder here. So the quick start guide. What to say? Yeah, so it is made out of 11 steps, okay? I already had opened a couple of things. So the first thing to do is to open the SpatGRIS. I forgot to mention something. Also the other day, I'll just show you here. Oh, yeah, sorry. Hopefully it will work. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, here we are. So this is the website, okay, of us, the GRI, Groupe de Recherche en Immersion Spatiale, Spatial Immersive Research Group. This is where we announce things, etc., where to find them. So you have the links to download the software. So essentially, it is on SourceForge, which is one of the open source platform. If you're brave enough, you can go to GitHub, where we put all the beta version and everything. All the issues here are described. Okay, anybody can contribute actually into that. Yes, this is where you see the different version. So you have pre-release and latest. Okay, so if you want to be brave, you can try the pre-release, but it is at your own risk. But this is what I will use today. Okay, etc. So I just wanted to remind you that. Okay, so open SpatGRIS. So SpatGRIS is open, it's there. When you get the installer, it depends if you use it for Windows or for the Mac, okay? But you have everything in there. There is one installer that install the software itself, SpatGRIS. We now have a second software called Speaker View for the 3D rendering of the space. And we have the plugin that we will see today that we haven't seen the other day. They all install at the right place on the Mac. In Windows, there is, and also you have a separate installer for Black Hole. And the reason why is that because Black Hole is very stable, we didn't have a different version for at least 2 years because there's nothing to change, it works. So why put a new version? So if you have one already installed in your computer, there's no need to put the same version again. So apart from that, so open SpatGRIS, open the settings, okay? This is here. So you have the settings. And you have to choose essentially two things. The input device, okay, from your computer. And the input device will be, we would strongly suggest black hole, okay, because it's very stable, it's fantastic, it's 256 channel if you need it, but we have three versions. We have 64, 128, and 256. So it depends on your need, okay. It doesn't make any difference in terms of CPU. If you use the 256 and you use only two channels, it will be the same in black hole 64. Okay, just not to occupy too much space in your life, especially in core audio. Yeah, it's a detail, but at some point, we are just about to be there. Apple has a problem with audio. They just recognize it. We discovered it a year ago. I just described that to Vinicius this morning. If you play one file with our system, that lasts at least an hour, just like Eliane Radig works, for example, and you don't do anything. You just play the sound file. After about 55 minutes, you will start to have glitches. And after an hour and 5, you start to have bits of silence. And very soon you'll get complete silence, okay? And it is apparently a relationship between JUICE, which is the library on which our software is built, and Apple. Okay, so the actual version of, yes, easy people to deal with, Apple. Hello, Mr. Apple. But Apple just recognized that. And it is possible that in the predictable future, we will have always to use the aggregate device, okay, to solve that. Because in the aggregate device, you can tell which software is the master and which one is the slave, and apparently it solves the problem. So whatever. So if you have to use the aggregate device and you have 256 channel plus your audio, you know what I mean. Okay, so yeah, open the settings, choose the input, which is black hole, the output, which is your audio interface, essentially. So you can use the two speaker of your system, and it doesn't restrict SpatGRIS to work in multi-channel, okay? But you will hear only speaker 1 and 2, except if you work in stereo. So this is what you do. So settings. Open a dome speaker setup, okay? So you go here, you have speaker setup template, you go there, and you can use the default speaker setup, okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter, it is just easier to start with that at the beginning. Open your DAW, it's already done, okay, it's here. Create a stereo track and assign the output to black hole 1 and 2. It's already done here, okay? So black hole 1 and 2, okay? Because your DAW, maybe you have to tell your DAW that the audio interface is black hole and not your audio interface, okay? Maybe I should add that, but yeah. So the audio, black hole is a virtual audio interface in reality. It is not a physical audio interface, and it is not connected to anything outside your computer. It goes within the computer, okay? But it's the same thing. It has the same behavior, essentially. Assign the, yes, and create a stereo track, yes. Insert a Control Glee plugin in this track and set it to dome mode. So I'll do it in front of you. So you go here. You go to U2M, Université de Montréal, University of Montreal, essentially. And you will find Control Gris there. You open it. Okay, this is the plugin. And then what it says the number of sources should be already initialized, set at 2. Number of sources 2. okay? And the first source ID is set at 1, okay? It's very important. It is the OSC number through which control GRI and SpatGRI will communicate, okay? So as a good usage, we recommend that you use the same number for the audio outputs. So if you use audio output 1 and 2, you use control GRI 1 and 2 on the same track. It's a good way not to be completely mixed at some point, okay, in the process. Okay, so 1 and 2. It says select circular fully fixed in source link and start the sequencer, okay? So circular fully fixed, okay? And start the sequencer. And it says play with source number 1 and see the result in SpatGRI. Oh, I have to, yeah. So you see what's going on. So yes, we just put an example here where, and it might be a good idea to do that. Just stop that. To make sure if it is possible, because when you work with large session, it's a good idea to have, which is not the case here, but I should do that right now. Okay, to have the same color in your audio track than in control GRI, in SpatGRI, okay? Because at some point you'll be completely lost which is doing what, okay? And in control GRI you just have to click here, and then you can do whatever the color you like, okay? And if I just put an example, if I change it, it's blue now, and if I right-click, the next track will be the same color. So it's a good, fast way to do group of colors for 8 channels and stuff like that, okay? All these things are, as you can imagine, in the manual. So I just mentioned that. It just tricks to work very easily through the process. Okay, so here we are. You're now ready to play and record automation. Okay, and this is what we will do now. Okay. Any questions so far? It's good? Okay, quick start guide, it works. All right, so we don't need that anymore. Yeah, you have more things here. Wait.
I will not go to the microphone, sorry.
It's okay.
Because we are now on headphones, I mean, those who follow along, it's probably later in your presentation, but it might make sense to show us how to simulate the dome binaural.
Yeah, you don't have to do that much. So we are in a dome at the moment. So if you want to work with your headphones at home, you just go there and switch binaural. Okay, as you have seen, suddenly I don't have 16 speakers. I have only 2 speakers. Okay, because left and right. Okay, and a window appears here that allows you to choose where you route the stereo signal, okay, where your headphones are actually connected to your system, okay? So, and it is the same if you choose stereo, it will be the same, okay? Maybe your main stereo output are on, I don't know, 9 and 10 out of your audio interface, so wherever it is, you can choose where they are. Was that your question? Oof, at least one good answer. Okay, so as I said earlier, we are not very proud of our HRTF binaural reduction at the moment, but we start to work on a better one. It will be probably ready next year, I would say. Okay, you have to know a little detail. I've been subsidized since 2009 to do this project, which is quite good, 15 years, but not this year. We will refuse this year. So we still have money, so I still pay my developer, but I have no team at the moment. And I just made a new grant application, and I will know in March. So fingers crossed. We work very hard on this one. I think we deserve it. It's not to me to decide. Okay. Yes. Let's put some examples now. I will change a bit the color here. Whoops. This one blue. This one green. Yeah. So in SpatGRIS, as a reminder, you have the inputs here. That is what is coming from the digital audio workstation, from your software or from your sequencer. And this is the output, which is designed by the speaker setup you choose. Okay, so I will put back the speaker setup of here. That is not yet in the templates, but will be in the next publication. So you should tell me, Flo, if you want me to add more speakers, because at the moment I have only the three octophonic group of speakers at the moment. So if you want me to put more speakers as a permanent installation of the thing.
I forgot to take the digital metering for measuring exactly the distance.
Oh, it's not critical, I would say.
No.
It's not that critical, especially, well, it is not as critical as it is, for example, with ambisonic. Okay, VBAP is very tolerant. This is for sure. Okay, so you can have the speaker who is there or a little bit there, but won't make that much of a difference on a perceptual point of view. And Cube, you can adjust afterwards anyway. You can edit your setup, and if you do that, just send me the edited version, and we'll put it back. Okay. So yes, so control gris is a very important part of the system. It is where you actually design the trajectories. Okay, SpatGRIS is responsible to manage the speaker system, but control gris is responsible to follow your orders, essentially. Where do you want to put your sound? Do you want to make the trajectories? What kind of trajectories you want to make, etc. So there are essentially 3 modes, and I will just change something here on Cube. Yes, just this one. Yeah, perfect. And I'll put green here. Yeah, so the first thing you can imagine is to make a trajectory manually. Okay, so you play a sound file. Oops, have to be in the proper software, and you just experiment like that. Okay, and okay, you experiment for a while, and then you just put your sequencer in record mode, and you record the information. You stop, and you replay it. Okay, just like any other plugin, actually. You have to know something about control gris. Probably one of, in my computer, I think it is the only one which is not an audio plugin. It's pure data. It doesn't transform the audio, doesn't touch the audio. It is pure data, only OSC code. Well, it is not OSC that is written in the software. The software has its own way to record the information, but basically, control GRI receive and send OSC code, okay? So you can control, and I will show you in a moment, you can control OSC from an external device or an external software, and it sends OSC to whatever, but generally speaking, it is to SpatGRI, okay? So there's no audio input at the moment in control GRI. It's not exactly true, but I will tell you a bit about that later. But so far, this is the way it was working. And this is how we start the project at the origin, because we work with the zirconium, which was the equivalent of the SpatGRI, and we designed a software, a plugin, actually, that's an OSC to the zirconium. This is how we start the project originally. So now we are a bit further away. So, and so you can see in the sequencer that the automation was recorded, okay? So you have essentially X and Y, because we are in a dome mode. And in dome, there's only azimuth and elevation, 2 parameters that you can record, because if you go to the center, okay, we represent actually the dome from the top here. Very convenient, because it is only 2D. It's not CPU demanding. And by definition, if you are in the center of the circle, you are at the top of the dome. Okay? So I'll just erase the automation to be able to play again live. So if I'm here and I just put that, I'm at the top of the dome, okay, by definition. Okay, so it's easy to remember, easy to represent. Okay, and so this is what is recorded. I will just add something immediately. So if you want to have very discrete information, this is how it works. You have a point or a very specific point in the space. It will be, as we discussed the other day, localized in the space. Okay, but you can add 2 information. We have put two more information: azimuth span and elevation span. What it does, azimuth span, you don't see it that much. I will just put the other one. You see it? So it's a way to occupy more space on the dome compared to just a single point. Okay, and if for example you are here and you put all the parameters to the maximum, you cover the dome entirely. It's not a dome here, it's a cube, but this is the idea. Even with a monofile, okay, so it could be very nice effect that you can do. You know, you can start from a single point over there and then cover the dome completely with one monofile. Okay, so it's a very I'm using it a lot. For example, not that way, but here. Okay, for example, I will use it to occupy the space with a reverb. Okay, because I don't want the reverb to be a point in the space. I want the reverb to occupy the space. Okay, so it's a good way to organize the sound file. Okay, and the sound treatment. So if you put control GRI at the end of the chain of the other plugins that you are using. You put the EQs, the reverb, everything before, and then the control GRI at the end of the process. Okay?
How does it impact the volume of the sound?
It's almost completely transparent. Okay? This is especially in the VBAP mode. The VBAP mode is very well done about that. because it distributes the energy in the space. So generally speaking, my experience says that you would not notice a big increase of volume or a big decrease of volume, whatever, how many span you are using or how many speaker you are using. Yes? Is that okay?
I'm doubting if your voice is being recorded, but I think so.
Oh, my voice is recorded. I don't want that.
With the image, but I think because the
Yeah,
presentation
it is recorded. Yeah. Yeah. Did you want it recorded?
mas não está movendo a forma de onda ali.
What are you doing with my jacket? My nice jacket. It's for the show.
And if you put that microphone next to it and point it in this direction instead of to the wall, the question mic.
The question, Mike, in what way? Yeah.
No, but nobody will go just for a question there and sit down here again.
We can take the microphone if you want as
Or put it there and point it here, then you will have a little bit of the question.
Yeah.
do you have questions?
Okay, so the span, okay, another information. So, so for example, in stereo, you have two channels by definition. You can have up to 8 sources, okay, in control grid. And we didn't put more than that. It was a choice because most of the sequencer are not able to play more than 8 tracks anyway, 8 channels, okay, except for Reaper. If you think, it tends to change now because of the Atmos business, where you have more and more channels, but up to very recently, Logic was able to play a channel live too. Digital Performer was an exception because there was a setup for Emax Theater, which is a 10.2. But apart from that, we thought, okay, people will work with 8 channels and they will be happy 8 channels at a time. It's large enough to work. So one of the big questions, if I come back to 2, because I have only 2 sound files, is how the 2 channels are related to each other. It's a very complicated question. It doesn't seem so, but it is a very complicated question. And we had to make choices in such a way that the plugin works in every audio sequencers, because every sequencers deal with multi-channel differently. So at some point, you have to make compromise. And the compromise we made is that the channel 2, or every other channel but 1, the number 1, is essentially doing nothing. If I start to record here, and I try to move the channel 2, you got a warning. Channel 2 is not recorded, okay? There's only one channel that is recorded, one channel that is recorded, and it is always the channel 1. All the other channels are, we're not allowed to say that. I was about to say slave. Apparently, we're not about to say master and slave anymore. So, dependent. Number 2 is dependent of number 1, right? And so this is where you choose the dependency mode. They could be completely independent. It's useful to place them over there, but you won't be able to record number 2 independently anyway, okay? You can have circular, which means that both of them will move according to a circle, right? We can have circular fixed radius. I will just move back to independent. So if I'm here and I choose circular fixed radius, boom, They will get the same radius, always. Okay?
Okay, so you have to go to independent to position them.
To position them,
Relative angle.
exact, and then you choose the relationship between both. Okay? It could be circular fixed angle. Oops. So it divided, if you have two channel, it will divide the whole 360 degree by 2, so it's 180. If you have more than that, let's say I go back to 8, and go back to independent, and I put everything in the wrong order. Okay, and I put it back to fixed angle. It will correct all the angle, but not the radius. But all the angles are the same. Okay. So it could be funny to do that. You have a circular fully fixed, which means that radius and angle are adjusted at the same value. And we have something which is called delta lock, which is very funny. So the group is, whoops, glued together, and you can do that, and they will, boom. If I take this one, oops. So it's just like a spring.
In this case, in the limit of the circularity.
Yeah, it's the limit of the dome. Always, it's the limit of the dome. Yeah. So you can put all your sound in a corner, and then boom, they will bounce back. Okay.
But not to the other wall, because
No.
number one hits the wall. And
Number one is the wall. So if I take this here and I go there, yeah, you will have to. No, even that it's not possible. So it's in.
All the movements are controlled by number one.
Always. Yeah, exactly.
Then in the case to compress for the other side, you may turn and then go so.
Well, if you, yeah, exactly. If you want to do that, you have to do that.
And then go.
No. It really depends on the position of the base position, I would say. It might be. We might think about enhancing that thing, but we put that at the beginning, and we never touch it. Actually, it is from the first designer, the delta lock thing. So we never touch it back.
Can you choose the controller?
What do you mean?
Change the controller is one, but then I decided that I will control everything through the 5.
No. It's we had that at some point, but everything was so confused because we started to let. Just imagine, you have 8 channel, and you record automation. So it means that you record 16 track of automation, X and Y for each source. After 5 tracks, your software is completely supercharged. Okay, very few sequencer can deal with a lot of continuous recording of automation. Okay, so that was one of the choices that we had to make at some point. We removed that essentially. So, yeah.
All these movements are bidimensional.
Or what?
Bidimensional.
No, but well, it is for the dome at the moment.
At the moment, is for the dome.
It's for the dome, yes.
You have if you wish
It is on the surface of the dome then.
Yes, but if you wish to design for instance a sine wave
Into the space,
you
have to move to the cube mode then. Yeah. Okay. I'll just show it in a moment, okay? The difference between the cube and the dome mode. But in the dome, as I said the other day, the dome is a surface, and you can play only on the surface of the dome, okay? Automatically. It is mandatory. Yeah.
I have a quick question regarding Flo's last question.
No problem. Stop me at any time. This is the idea today.
If I were to control via OSC directly, then I could control each source individually, or no?
Probably yes, but you won't be able to record it.
Okay, the automation.
Yeah.
I could record the sound, but not the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And the code to do that is in the manual. Okay. It's kind of easy to the OSC code. Okay. Input and output it is in the manual. Okay. If you want to do that. So yes. So this is the real-time mode. Okay. So you do something by hand, okay, and you record it, and you are happy, and bye-bye, essentially. And if you're not happy, you can edit, of course, because the trajectory, everything is recorded, okay, into the software. I erase everything now. Okay, perfect. Second mode, I'll switch to second one in case we need to go back. Okay. Second mode is automated trajectories. Okay. We call that abstract trajectories because essentially they are mathematical function. Okay. I just put here an ellipse, for example. Okay. You have choices, different choices. You have circle, of course, always clockwise or counterclockwise. We have ellipse, we have spiral, we have square and triangle. And don't count on me to encourage you to use triangle and square by thinking that you are making geometrical figure in the space that would be perceptible, okay? None of any geometrical function is perceptible, period, okay? There's almost nothing that is perceptible in terms of geometrical thing, a cube or, you know, a triangle or anything like that. If you put an audience and you ask them what it is, you know, just forget it. You will never, it's not like the eyes, you know. So this is why I never use the expression 3D sound. Not because it is not true, because it is associated to 3D visual. It's not the way it works. We don't perceive sound as an object. Okay? So we put that, okay, it could be a good tool to work and to compose, but not if you think that it will be perceptible as it is, okay? So we have here a spiral, for example. I can do a couple of things. I can say, I can adjust the duration per cycle, okay? Let's say I put 10 seconds, okay? It could be by second or it could be by beat, which means that it reads the tempo of the sequence, okay? So you can do trajectory that will be related directly to the timeline of your work, okay? So the two options are available. I put the ellipse clockwise. It could be in one direction or it could be back and forth, okay? And it could be damped, which means that it will go at the maximum at the beginning and then it will be damped, just like in real life, because the energy is lost progressively, okay? And also there is a deviation degree per cycle. So it means that, for example, the ellipse will go and will move like that over time, okay? It will be deviated by a certain amount of degree. So let's say that we do everything at the same time. This one is in percentage, this one is in degree. Okay. And then you have to, if you want to practice, you don't have to record every time, okay? You can just play the sequence and activate the trajectory, okay? And play. Why we don't hear anything? Strange. Sorry. No, I think. No, it's fine. Oh, it is in input mode. Sorry. Here we are. So you see, it has made the whole cycle, and at the end of the cycle, it starts back in the opposite direction, and now is the dampening effect is doing. You see, it doesn't go to the end of the ellipse, and at some point it will just stop. Okay. So the activate button is just there to allow you to start the trajectory when you start the sequence. Okay. And when you're ready, you just activate and you put your track in record mode, and all the movement will be recorded. And this is what we advise to do, because the generator of the trajectory is quite CPU demanding. Okay, so you practice, you're happy, you have many tracks that you record, that you play, and they make complex movement perfect. Then you record the result. Okay, then the control grid will switch into just the reading trajectory mode, which is nothing. Okay, is that clear? Yes? No? No? Yes? Maybe? So automated trajectory. Okay, abstract trajectory. So you choose whatever. If you want to have a spiral, you have a spiral clockwise out in. Okay, so if I put it here, I can keep the back and forth, and yeah, here. So as you see, everything is symmetrical at the moment. Okay, it's always, everything is always moving around the center of the dome. We're working on the possibility of putting the center anywhere, actually. So if you want to make a circle, you mentioned that at the lunch today. If you want to make a spiral that will be only over there, for example, this is what we are working on at the moment. Okay, to put everything wherever. Yeah, so whatever. Many different trajectories. Okay, I'll say it now. I think it was 4 years ago in the control grid issues on GitHub. I mentioned that I would like to have concrete trajectories as opposed to abstract trajectories. You know, these trajectories has absolutely nothing to do with the sound. You can put any sound and the spiral will do its job, whatever the sound is. So I was more interested in having something that would generate a trajectory according to some sound analysis. Okay? So this is exactly what we are doing at the moment. We have been working with that. We had a trainee from Belgium this year. He had made, I'll show you, doesn't work very well at the moment, but we are working on that. So we have integrated audio descriptors into the system, which means that now control grid will deal with audio. Okay. At the moment, it is 2 separate plugins, but the programmer is actually building this into control grid. Should be ready. The first version should be ready before a month, I would say. Okay, and we'll probably be able to release that. I don't know when. it's quite a complicated job. So it's very fortunate because at this moment in the history of electroacoustic music, no one has to reinvent the wheel. Okay, there was a research group in UK called Flucoma, and they have done all the job, essentially. So we just integrated audio descriptors made by Flucoma in our plugin. Okay, and works pretty well so far. So azimuth and elevation could be controlled by different things. Okay, loudness, pitch, centroid, spectral centroid, spread, how the sound is spread according to the spectra, noise, and yes, different other thing. It's not very, very sensitive or reliable at the moment, but it's a beginning. Okay, we are able to do a couple of things with that, but this is the idea. The idea would be then to have the sound moving into the space according to some parameters of the sound itself. And we will propose to the artist to do whatever they want. You can imagine something very natural, like, okay, the sound is going from low frequency content to high frequency content, and the natural movement will be to put the sound going up into the space because birds are there and elephants are here. Okay, this is our daily experience, I would say, except for planes. But then you can do whatever. You can decide to control the speed of a rotation according to the frequency content, for example, or the opposite, or whatever. So there will be the analysis, there will be the parameter you choose to modify, and there will be the relationship between the two that you will decide. Okay? So the interface is ready. I received last week a picture of the interface, but the audio is not there yet. Okay, so that is the next step. Okay, and personally, I'm very happy with that because I think it will be. And also, you don't have if you change a bit the nature of the sound. For example, you decided to cut it a bit or to make it shorter or longer. It doesn't matter. Your trajectory will follow by definition because it is related to the sound itself. Okay.
So those trajectories are then not recorded.
The same way. Everything that you do in control degree is recorded.
Okay, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will remain the same, except that the control degree will have an input which will be the audio of your track. So you have the audio, and then the trajectory is generated, and you record the trajectory just like any automation.
So the analysis phase is only applied once, and it writes the position of your sources, and then if you play back, the analyzer is not running anymore.
No, it's not running anymore.
Unless you shorten your sound and then you restart
the analysis, exactly. Because the analysis is quite demanding. So you cannot imagine to have, 12 control degree analyzing thing at the same time. Your computer will crash. Okay, or you won't crash, but everything will be jaggy, probably. Yeah.
Will it allow like a sidetrack, like a basic? I would use one sound to control the specialization of another sound.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I didn't mention that because we recommend that you put the control degree in the same track with the same numbers, etc. Right? But it's not mandatory to tell you the truth. One example of that is Ableton Live, which is not able to deal with a channel track. Okay, so you can put 4 stereo track. Okay, and you can send the signal to a bus, and put a control grid with 8 channel in this bus, and then you can have the control of the 8 channel within Ableton Live, for example. So you can control if, yeah, because in this case, control grid has a number, okay? It has an OSC number, so you have to send the signal from the analysis to control grid. In the next version, control grid will be autonomous, okay? But yes, you would be able to control another thing, or you can just record the automation and copy paste, essentially, okay? Very easy to do, yeah. Okay, so this is the next step. I don't want to show you that because it won't work, and I don't like to show things that doesn't work. Okay, so automated trajectory, okay. The next one, I'll change to the next track. The next one was, we had this idea at some point, and one of our programmer, I don't know where it is switching, it's me. One of our programmer said, okay, yes, I can do it. And he did it, but he left. So it works, but we saw, maybe some of you, we talked about that the other days. There was a fantastic software for sound spatialization made in Marseille called Holophon. And it was possible to design the trajectory directly into the circle. And I said to my programmer, oh, that would be so nice to do that, you know, to record the trajectory directly into the plugin, because we would then be completely independent from the sequencer. So it would work 100% everywhere by definition, because the automation would be recorded directly into the plugin. He said, okay, I'll do it. So we have a mode called, we have a mode called drawing. It's far from being perfect, but I'll show you what it does, okay? When you choose the word, the mode drawing, you have a small X here, and you just draw a trajectory. Okay? And then you play it. Okay? If you notice, the speed is not linear. It has, remember, the speed you draw it. Okay? Which is nice. And then you can adjust all the other parameters that are here. For example, you said, oh, this is nice, but I wanted to have the trajectory in 2 seconds back and forth. Okay? Okay. But as soon as you touch control grid, boom, it's gone. Okay, so you have to record it as any other automation, okay, to keep it. So you cannot edit it, you cannot touch the screen, nothing, okay, it will be gone. Okay, so I perfectly understand that it is perfectible. But it's fun. I'll just give you an example, one of the examples that could be made.
The result.
You can record the result as any other automation.
But you cannot record the trajectory itself.
Yeah, you record
And
the
then
trajectory.
load it again.
And then you can edit the trajectory itself in the sequencer. But you cannot edit the design I make here.
You cannot edit.
This one, you cannot edit it, okay? Because as soon as you touch something, it erases what was written, okay? This is, yeah, the counter effect of this thing. So, yeah, we should improve that. I agree with that. But it's funny because you can do things, and I don't remember. There is a shortcut. think it is Madge. Yeah, with Madge, whoops, sorry, let's start again. If you put shift, sorry, Madge, shift, it draws line, okay? So if I play it, whoop, wait, sorry, Madge. No, I haven't done that for a while. Oops, sorry. Draws a line, okay, perfect. And I think that if I do that, no, there's something I don't remember. But what? It is in the manual. It is in the manual, okay? You can do a pendulum, okay? Anywhere in the space, okay? Between 2 points. So it's a very specific example, but it is the only trajectory that you can do somewhere. You know, you can do a pendulum over there, and another one over there, and a pendulum over there, and it's very effective. Okay. So this is the third mode that we have: real-time drawing and automated trajectories. Right. So far I use, you have noticed, I used, we'll just change, put in real time. I use the control GRI in dome mode, just to make some examples, okay? But now I can switch the mode to cube mode, because we are in a cube right now. If you have a solution for us, I accept it, can pay for that eventually. All of our interfaces, most of our interfaces are 2D. The mouse, keyboard, trackpad, everything is 2-dimension. We don't easily have access to a 3-dimension interface, because in a cube you have azimuth, angle, and elevation, X, Y, Z. You have 3 parameters. So to interact with the sound position in the space, you would need a 3D interface, okay? So there was a company in the States who made a 3D trackpad, 3D pad actually, but they went on bankruptcy. It's not available anymore, unfortunately. And it was very sensitive to the pressure. Okay, so it was possible, you know, to put the Z parameter, for example, with pressure, and then you were able to do things like that. I don't remember the name of it. One of my students has it, but no, they are gone. These small things, they live for 2 years, and after that they disappear. So we still have that. So in the meantime, we made a compromise, and so you have the azimuth distance. We will change it actually. It will be X, Y, and Z here. And I can put that. So you have the vertical dimension. If I put this. Okay. Oh, this is very interesting. It's a good information. You see that in SpatGRIS, the sources are jumping, okay? It's a very clear sign of an error, okay? It means that you have at least 2 SpatGRIS who are sending the same OSC numbers. So SpatGRIS is moving from one to the next, okay? Because it doesn't have to choose. It is not his responsibility to choose. So what did I do? I don't know. NB here. Yes. So I have the source number 1 in this track, and I have the first track in source number 1 and 2. Okay, so I should have put here. Oh no, it is 7. Why it does that? Oh, strange. Yeah, I'm at 5 here. I am at 3. And I'm at 1. Why is he doing that? Do I have any? No. Okay. Troubleshooting, it's always a good thing. Cut the USC, it's not this one. Cut the, I know what it is. It is this one. So I will remove it. Apparently not. So there's another number 7. So it's always, yeah, when you see that, you are in trouble. Okay, you have to know, you have to find the problem. It means that the same OSC number is sent by 2 control GRI to SpatGRI, and they are not at the same place, which is a good thing because it tells you straight away that you have a problem and you cannot control the source. So I just deactivate, but it doesn't really solve the problem. Well, whatever. We will do that later. So here we are. So I put this one in cube mode. Here we are. We don't have 8 sources, so I'll put back in 2. That was the problem. Because I put 8 channel here in this to show you that it is possible to work in 8 channels. So the number 7 was there, part of the circle, and the number 7 was in the mono track. Okay, that was the problem. If I go back to this one and I put it back, yeah, no problem anymore. So that was it. So it's always easy to solve, but it tells you the problem straight away. Okay. So now we are in the cube mode. Here we are. Okay. I'll bring this picture a little bit bigger to give you an idea. I talked about that the other day a bit. And now you have the control of azimuth distance and elevation. So azimuth distance is like that. Okay. And of course elevation, as you can imagine, like that. Okay. And so with the cube, you can go inside of the speaker system and you can go outside of the speaker system. Okay. It depends where you place the speaker system, of course, but here I put everything. I put all the speakers within the small square, so except the sub, but the subs are not part of the specialization system. So, and as I think I showed that the other day, all the cube is essentially a concept. It's the concept of a cube. We saw that the other day, so it's not necessary to come back to that. And what else? The difference you saw with the dome mode, how the span works. It was possible to do that because the VBAP is a surface, right? So it was possible to spread the sound on the surface from one side, each side, symmetrically speaking, from the source. Here, there's no surface. There's only points in the space. So we question ourselves, what do we do with the span? Because we like the idea of being able to spread the sound, in a larger way than just a point. So we decided to take the option of building a cylinder like that. Oops. Okay. So the source here is in red, and we built, if you see it from the top, we built a cylinder that goes in both directions. So suddenly this sound will grab a lot more speakers when it travels into the space. Okay? I perfectly admit that it is a choice. It is an aesthetic choice. We may offer other possibility in the future, but at the beginning we just decided, okay, that works, we'll take it, and we'll think about that later. Okay? So this is how the span are dealt with the cube mode. Yep.
One question. Why do you still call the coordinates in the cube azimuth and distance? Are they calculated as angles and distances, or are they calculated as x, y?
As point, we will change it. It's an error. Okay.
So it's actually x and y and
Z,
elevation.
and z, yeah.
Okay.
It's the point. It's the coordinate of the sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not calculating angles. You can't go from.
Well, basically, at the end, it is an angle, but it's better to name it XYZ because it is exactly what it is. Okay. And you can see that here, okay, it is something that we just realized. We said azimuth, distance, elevation, and now you have the parameters that you can adjust by hand if you prefer, okay? And it is XYZ already, okay? So we just realized that. So it is already corrected, I have to say, in the beta version we have at the moment, okay? Yes, you can edit whatever. If you want to edit things in a very precise location, you can edit it by putting numbers. Okay, very easily. In the settings, there's not that much to adjust. You have the OSC port, which is the OC port of SpatGRIS. Okay, you can change whatever, but you have to change it at both places, and the IP address. You have the source that you can edit, or you can automatically place things according to automated placement. Okay, you have a channel, they are in random order. Okay, you put left alternate and they will be placed automatically. Okay, or whatever, left clockwise, right clockwise, different options. Okay, just easier and faster. And you don't want to do that every time. And you have the controllers. Okay. The controllers could be an iPad, as I said. I will just open it. Where is it? Just a moment. No, open. Stage control. Okay, this is open stage control here. It's an open source software designed by a French guy in Bordeaux, in France. And essentially, it sends OSC. Okay, so we've made a patch with the iPad. I tried it yesterday. Unfortunately, Apple changed a couple of things because the iPad communicates with the computer through Wi-Fi. It's not possible anymore to make a local Wi-Fi network on the Mac. Or it seems very complicated. I've tried for 2 hours yesterday. It was not successful. But I'll just show you what it does. I don't have anything. It's already there. If I start the thing and yes, I'll just move it a little bit smaller. So essentially, your iPad will look like that, okay? And now I just have to put things here. Maybe, yes, it has changed since yesterday. Oops. Oh no, this one is yes. Don't know if it works. Yeah.
It's then remote controlled by the iPad.
That what?
It's remote controlled by the iPad.
Yeah, exactly. In the iPad, you use Chrome, for example. Okay, it's a web page in the iPad, essentially. That is exactly looking like this one. Okay. It's kind of what?
Of the Mira control for the Macs. Mira works with Bluetooth, no? Or I think Wi-Fi, no? Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. It's suppose everything is. I'll just, in any case, just stop it. Okay. It's there. It's the right one. Yeah. It works normally, for whatever reason.
Can't you just put local host there from 27001?
Pardon me? Pardon me?
Can't you just put local host 127.0.0.1? You're on the same machine.
Oh, you're right. That's true. You mean here? Probably. Well, whatever. It does. But it is what we have published a separate manual for that. Yesterday I followed the manual, quick start guide, worked. Don't want to spend time to solve problems. So this is the idea, okay? So yes, it's a bit disappointing that it's not working anymore, so we'll try to find a solution. Because the iPad is it's a good tool, you know, to make trajectories very fine, very detailed, compared to a mouse, for example. And you have a big screen, and etc.
Have you tried using the Wii controller, like
No,
or
No.
The Xbox Kinect, which
no.
maybe that could solve the problem of like
Yeah.
having
Yeah,
at the same
maybe-
time X and
maybe
Y and
it
Z.
could be a good idea. But what kind of signal? It's you have to translate the signal at some point.
I think you have to send from the
Wii.
controller to some OSC
Translator.
translator, so
Okay.
you can send.
Yeah, maybe it's a good idea. Is that possible to buy Wii still?
I think so.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I have a couple at home, and I should try it. We have the people at the in Nice in France. It's funny. They bought devices. The company went on bankruptcy. It is a device that was designed to play golf. You know, it's a game. So you have strings that you pull, and then you just do like that. So you have the three dimensions. And so they just change a bit of the signal to the translation of the signal, and you are able to control gris from there in the 3 dimensions. So the children are playing with that. And they bought a bunch of them because it was sold for €4 instead of 200. So yes, so different controllers that could be used in the future. What else that I want to show? Control blah 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 blah. I think it's almost there. I talked the other day about the different mode we have in the cube mode. Because in the cube mode, if you go to here, you have what we call the attenuation settings, which means that if you go outside the cube, I'll show you again this. This is the border, okay? The border line of the cube, which is on the small square in any dimension. So if you go outside of the cube, you can simulate a a natural behavior when the sound is moving away from you, okay? So you can ask, if you look here, you have the attenuation setting. It is in dB by 12 dB steps, let's say 24 dB. And you have a high cut frequency filter. Okay, let's put it at 2000 hertz, okay? And so if you move outside of the cube, I'll just let it standard at the moment, okay? And play this one, yes. Oops, put that back here. So if I'm inside, it's okay. And if I go outside, it's filtered and eventually disappear, almost disappear, okay? Like that. So this is a natural behavior, okay? It offers you the possibility to enhance the size of the room, basically. And we have added that also for the elevation. So the first thing we put is, we put a top, okay? So if I start again, oh, I have to put it inside. So it moves away also over the ceiling, okay? And I told you also that there was a group who have a system with a floor. So they have speakers underneath the floor. So we put the top and bottom filters. So the only place where the sound is full is here. It goes over and it disappears underneath as well. Okay? So easy things. I think it's kind of it so far. Yep. Yep.
One last question. How do you decide on the proportion of the cube to the outside white box where your space ends? How do you scale that?
It is a number. The small square is 1. The second square is, I think, 1.66.
Oh, that's fixed.
It's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah. It might be useful at some point to be able to move, you know, if you need to have a very small square and a big hall, for example. This is probably something that we can adjust because it is just a number. Yeah, the wall can be moved, I think, very easily. Yeah. Maybe I can show you just a very specific example in one of my pieces where I use the hybrid mode, for example. So you'll see how things move everywhere. Don't spend much of your time. So you can have projects in SpatGRIS for specific work, for example. So you don't have to figure out everything. Okay. Okay, so the hybrid mode is working only in dome, so yeah, the screen is not big enough. Yeah, it's the biggest work I've ever done with SpatGRIS. Yeah, it has transformed the cube in dome because I use the hybrid mode. Hybrid mode is I have some inputs in dome mode and some in cube mode. Okay. So. Just put that a bit bigger. So you can see that some of the sound sources are actually outside of the cube. And some are literally on the surface of the dome. And some are traveling through. You see the span, they are used essentially for reverbs. We have also, I didn't mention that, we have also 2D window that could be useful from time to time. So yes, it gives you an idea of, you know, the SpatGRIS is actually working, it has 116 channels with automation everywhere, and it works at 14% of its capacity, okay, with 24 channels, 26 channels here in the system. So, and my computer is working at 33% because I'm using the real session with all the plugins. I have 4 reverbs, all automated, all the EQs are automated, so it's quite demanding, but I would not take the chance to play this session in concert. But essentially in the studio it's not a problem, okay? So it's possible, yeah.
So I don't need to render each track. I will only render at the end of
the end of the process.
the process.
I've developed different strategies, but most recently the strategies I've developed, and this is what I will do tonight. We've made experiences on sound perception in domes. Okay, we have 3 domes at the Faculty of Music. One is made out of 32 speakers in 4 layers, 16 speakers in 3 layers, and one in 24 speakers in 3 layers, okay, in different rooms. So it's not a scientific experience, but we just made experiment asking people to draw trajectories that they perceive in these 3 domes. We used excerpts of our own works, my works and the works of 2 of my assistants, and we made an objective categorization of these trajectories. One of my assistants, we sat in one of the dome and we decided, okay, this trajectory, it does exactly that. Do you agree? You don't agree? Okay, we play it again. You sure it's, okay, it's that. Okay. I don't know if you know, but the 0 decibel, the reference, was decided like that. 3 people in a room at the Bell Laboratory. Do you hear something? No. Do you hear something? Yes. You? Okay, 0 decibel. Says how it was decided. Yeah, it's true. It's documented. So we were like that, 2 of us. But essentially, the idea was to ask people just to design what they perceive. The same day, they went to one place to the next, and they listened to 25 trajectories. And at the end, we compare the result to see what seems to be the most important criteria to design correctly the trajectories. And at the end, we discovered, it was kind of a surprise, that it was the number of layers of speakers. It was not the size of the hall, it was not the intimacy of the hall, it was not anything like that. In the system where they have 4 layers, everybody was more precise in terms of designing trajectories. So because of that, when I mix down my piece for concert, I just do something on a speaker setup that doesn't exist, which is a dome of 4 layers of 8 speakers, 32 speakers on top of each other, equal distance. So I made a reduction in 32 channels plus the sub, okay? And this is what I use in concert. This is what I use tonight. This is what I will use tonight, okay? Because when I come to the concert place, then I have a kind of a lot of flexibility. I have 4 8-channel stems. I can put them at the right level. In this hall, for example, during the week, for most of us, we had the feeling that the sound was a little bit higher all the time, except for yesterday night, the first concert, where we felt that it was a bit grounded. So I can just put all the layers a bit lower in the space, because the space itself generates high perception. And also I have a control of the level of each layer, one to each other. So I can correct, because there are different speaker brands in this hall. They don't sound the same. They are not just the same. So I can adjust a bit of that to find back the right polyphony between the different layers. Okay, so it gives me so.
You mean a kind of structural layer, because if you consider, for instance, the Meyer sound.
Yeah.
The Meyer sound structurally is one layer, but the level of the loudspeaker are different, because we have a kind of amphitheater.
Exactly.
How is the?
Well, I don't have that much control about that, So
it's more structural.
Well, it is.
Octophony here, octophony there.
Yeah. Exact. I don't have that much control. Well, maybe the next step will be able to incline my layers, But I cannot do that in advance before coming, because I don't know exactly what is the angle, because I had a map that says they were all on the same level. So it gives me flexibility. I don't have to redo the piece. The other solution is the one that I showed last week with the player, but then I have no control. I would do that if I'm not there. You know, I just send the player with my piece and said, okay, just play it like that, and cross finger. In domes where they have the same kind of speakers, it's easier. This is for sure. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So different strategies to be able to play. Apart from that, Flo asked me to send the piece in advance. So I just put the 24 speaker in SpatGRIS, and I rendered a 24 track rendering of my piece, and this is what I sent. So and it is there. So if ever my computer is stolen or whatever, or crash or whatever, we can still play the piece, okay? Because we have another version here, okay? Yeah, because I don't need the to play every channel, you know. I just need 4 faders to play. Usually I have a small fader controller with myself because it's easier, but I can do that with the mouse tonight. Just to balance during the duration of the piece. Yeah, yeah. Of the sweet spot, there's no sweet spot. The hall has a very critical sweet spot I discovered, because I start my rehearsal here and I said, fuck, everything is on the left side. And I just moved there. And suddenly everything was perfectly balanced. I was 2 meters from the center. So this hall is very, the sweet spot is very narrow in this hall. Yeah. But it is not because of SpatGRIS. I think I had this feeling this week. I was not so sure, but today I perfectly realized that. To see the small things. Yeah. This example. You got an idea of the trajectories, especially in this piece, because they are very dramatic. You know, they are obvious, very clear trajectories. Yeah, because of the hybrid mode, because I was able to cross the space with some sound.
Sometimes, tira de você. Sometimes is good to forget the sweet spot. Recently, I played the 4th channel, Gesang der Junglinge from Stockhausen in a class, and the students was in the middle and I was in the corner.
Okay.
Because the students occupied the middle of the hall, and I listened to some details that I never listened before. Just being outside one of the corners. Yeah. It's interesting, and the sweet spot is a kind of illusionary space, because just one person is there, and we have the reality of concerts that are otherwise.
Yeah. So if it is possible, if I have the opportunity to play in a black box, for example, very often I propose the producers or the listeners to walk into the space, actually. And it is a very dynamic listening mode. And it works perfectly well. I've done that many, many times, and people enjoy it, actually. They walk into the space, and the perception is different from one location to the rest, but in my music, there's no direction, there's no front and back. Except for the piece that I played tonight, but I will talk about that later and I'll explain why. But it's very rare that I have a front and a back. So every place is equivalent, different but equivalent in terms of perception. So if you walk into the space, then you can experience that. You know, you can, and because everything is always moving in my music, if you're trapped beside the speaker, at least things will change a bit along the way. Yeah.
I have a very practical question about this idea of rendering your piece into 4 8-channel rings, and then what you just said, depending on the hall, you can then play with the height. How do you do that, and how do you now position your 4 layers into a grid of 24?
By ear.
No, but I mean...
With SpatGRIS.
Oh, again, okay.
SpatGRIS. I can show you. Do you
Yeah,
want me to show you?
yeah.
It will take just a moment, because I'm ready. The concert is ready. So this is the setup for the concert. Some space. Okay, so here we are. I have my 4 octophonic tracks here, plus the sub. Okay. Oh, sorry, the microphone. I have the 4 octophonic tracks here, okay, with 4 control gris, okay. And so you can see the elevation is different for every one of them. If I show where they are, show source activity. So this is how they are located. Actually, it's not true, they have moved. So I'll make some, maybe it's because it doesn't start. Yeah, exactly. So you see here the 4 octophonic tracks. One is really on the bottom. The blue is between 2 layers. The purple is on the 2nd layer, and the light blue is on the 3rd layer. Okay, and so, sorry, during my rehearsal, what I did is just to adjust the different levels of each layer in this specific hall, and it's a bit different from one piece to the next. Okay, yeah.
Do you feel it's better to do this way than to like have the setting of the hall?
Não dá nem com o microfone, dá pra ouvir.
Do you think it's better to do this way rather than to get the setting of the hall and then render like one track per speaker?
I prefer this. I prefer this because I have still some flexibility, and we never know. But if suddenly there are 200 people tonight, the acoustic will change. Okay, so you can adjust to that. If the acoustic change between the rehearsal and the concert. So I prefer, this is I think a good compromise to get your piece as an acousmatic piece, but at the same time you have the flexibility of adjusting things that would make the piece working better. Yeah, essentially.
The black hole is for Mac, right? Black hole.
Black hole?
Yes. There's an alternative to Windows.
In Windows, there is only one alternative that works. It is called Jack. It is actually, Jack is the, oops, let me just take my microphone. Jack was actually designed for Linux. And it is still in Linux, the virtual audio device. It was adapted for the Mac at first. Wasn't supported for a while, then supported again. But in the meantime, we quit. It was a divorce, you know, it's difficult to reconnect after a divorce. So, but it's now back on the Mac, but I would not recommend it. And in Windows, apparently, recently, it works pretty well. Okay, this is what some of our students have PC computers, and they are using it. It's a bit complicated to configure, but once it is configured, you're right. The configuration is quite complicated, but there are some, we put a video about that in our website, okay? Because there's tricky things on the, it's for free, absolutely. Everything, the whole environment, except the digital audio workstation, of course. I'm using this one because I'm used to it, you know how it is. It is a tool. If you know how to play the violin, you don't change for the piano at my age. So I still use the whole thing. But it's funny because Digital Performer is the oldest ever sequencer in the world. It's not the first, but it is the oldest. It was there at the very, very beginning. It was only MIDI at the beginning. It was called Performer. And everything else died, but Performer, actually. But it is also kind of a archaeological software. You know, there are layers and layers that they don't even understand themselves. So it's very strange, and they are very slow on. It's very funny when they publish a new version. They solve between 100 and 200 problems at the same time. So I cannot imagine the programmers of Digital Performer. So I tried to switch to Reaper, but to be honest, between you and me, I just find it ugly. Ugly. And because the colors are not clear. And on my daily basis, I like to be with nice things. Nice looking things. But it's the joke, it's not the whole thing, but... Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. It was okay for the sequel, worth it.
We will talk about the part 3.
Thank you.